Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Have you ever held in your hands what seemed like just an ordinary penny only to discover that this humble 1-cent 2009 USA coin could actually be worth an astounding $814 and maybe even more depending on its precise condition, mint mark, and the specific errors or die varieties it carries? So today get ready because this journey will take you deep into the fascinating world of modern Lincoln cents that have stunned collectors and casual finders alike with their astonishing value and historical significance, because the 2009 penny is unlike any other issued before it, as it commemorates the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth with 4 distinct reverse designs, each telling the story of his life from humble beginnings to his formative years, professional life, and presidency. So many people overlook the potential worth of these coins and accidentally spend or give them away when in fact a select few of them have fetched hundreds and even over $800 at auction simply because of a combination of scarcity, special errors, high-grade mint state condition, or unique varieties. So before you dismiss that copper-coated zinc coin in your pocket, you might want to learn exactly what makes certain 2009 pennies such hot commodities among numismatists and investors, as the first important factor is the design itself. Since in 2009 the US Mint released the Lincoln Bicentennial 1-cent program, which included for commemorative reverse designs the birth and early childhood in Kentucky, showing a log cabin, the formative years in Indiana depicting young Lincoln reading while taking a break from rail splitting, the professional life in Illinois featuring Lincoln standing before the Illinois state capitol, and finally the presidency in Washington, D.C. design displaying the half-finished U.S. Capitol dome. And each of these reverses were minted in Philadelphia and Denver, so they carry either a P or D mint mark, except in the case of Philadelphia, which traditionally lacks a mint mark on cents. And in addition to circulation strike coins, the mint issued special collector versions in 95% copper composition, harking back to the original alloy of pre-1982 pennies. And if you are fortunate enough to come across one of these satin finish copper coins in high grade, you could already be looking at a piece worth far more than face value. But the real treasure often comes when you discover an example with a significant error, because error coins are the holy grail of many collections, and among the 2009 cent, certain types of doubling, particularly on the formative years reverse, have driven prices up tremendously. For example, there are well-documented double die reverses with extra fingers visible on Lincoln's hand gripping the log or the thumb underneath, creating a strong visual anomaly that is easily spotted even without magnification. And these double die varieties have been authenticated and catalogued by specialists like Kaneka, and are eagerly sought after by collectors willing to pay hundreds of dollars for well-struck examples. But even apart from doubling, there are also coins with off-center strikes where the planchet shifted during striking, causing part of the design to be missing or dramatically misplaced. These can range in value from modest premiums for slight misalignments to several $100s when the error is dramatic and retains full date and mint mark, because the degree of off-centering and the visibility of the core details are critical to determining value. Furthermore, another type of error to watch for is die cracks, where the die itself fractured under pressure and created raised lines or even retained cut breaks that appear like blobs along the rim or through Lincoln's portrait. And collectors love these die states because they showcase the life cycle of mint dies in action, and each crack tells a story of the stress and fatigue endured as millions of coins were struck. So a 2009 cent with dramatic die breaks can also command significant premiums, especially if they cross prominent design elements. Now consider the role of grade, which in numismatics refers to the coin's condition, with designations from well-worn circulated pieces to pristine mint state coins that never entered commerce and were preserved immediately after striking. And for the 2009 pennies, it is precisely these high-grade examples, particularly those certified by third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC as MS67 or higher, that fetch astonishing amounts, with auction records proving that collectors prize the finest known survivors and will bid accordingly. And the combination of a popular commemorative issue combined with potential errors and exceptional preservation results in a potent recipe for big money, as in the case of one such 2009 Lincoln cent that recently sold for over $814 due to its mint state grade and the presence of a dramatic doubling, which made it a showcase example of the series. To understand why collectors would pay so much, you have to appreciate the unique place of the 2009 issue in American numismatic history, since it was not only a celebration of Lincoln but also a transition point before the adoption of the Union Shield reverse in 2010. So these pennies marked both an ending and a beginning, and are thus more collectible than typical year issues, especially when coupled with their limited mintage and Special copper composition. Now let's go deeper into the specific double dies to help you know exactly what to look for, as the formative years design is notorious for showing doubling around Lincoln's hands and fingers, with several distinct varieties catalogued by specialists including the FS801 and FS802, which display clear extra digits that appear almost like a ghostly second thumb or index finger and can be seen with the naked eye under good lighting, while less dramatic double dies may only be visible under 10x magnification but still command significant premiums. So if you find a 2009 penny that shows any form of doubling in those areas, it is worth verifying through reference images or professional attribution services. Additionally, the professional life reverse has been reported with more subtle doubling, especially on the columns of the state capitol and the inscriptions, while the birthplace and presidency designs also show minor double dies, though they are less frequently encountered. But don't forget about other error types like die clashes, which occur when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving mirror images of the opposite design impressed on the die face and consequently on coins struck afterward. These clashes can result in ghostly outlines of Lincoln's profile appearing on the reverse, or parts of the log cabin showing faintly behind Lincoln's portrait, and while more subtle than doubling, such die clashes are eagerly collected by specialists in error coins and can raise the value substantially. Now the metal composition also plays a role, because in 2009 the Mint produced collector sets with a 95% copper alloy like pre-1982 pennies, as opposed to the standard copper-plated zinc composition used for circulation strikes, and these satin finish copper coins weigh about 3.11 grams compared to the 2.5 grams of zinc cents. So if you suspect you have a 2009 penny that feels slightly heavier, it is worth checking the weight precisely using a digital scale accurate to 0.01 grams, and if the coin also shows brilliant luster without the usual contact marks from circulation, you might have one of these special mint set issues, which in pristine grades can easily bring a premium, sometimes exceeding several dollars even without errors. But when a copper composition coin also has a double die, the value escalates rapidly, and such coins in MS67 red have crossed the $500 threshold, and with the right combination of attributes like a prominent error, rarity, and outstanding grade, they have surpassed $800. So think twice before dismissing any 2009 cent, because it could be a hidden gem waiting in your change jar. And if you really want to be thorough, always examine both sides of the coin under bright diffuse lighting, ideally with a loupe of at least 10x magnification, to catch minute doubling, die cracks, clashes, or planchet flaws, as even a minor anomaly can transform a common cent into an extraordinary collectible. Furthermore, always consider getting any promising coin authenticated and graded by a reputable third-party grading service, as certified holders protect the coin from further damage and provide the assurance collectors look for when spending serious money, which helps you realize the highest possible price when you decide to sell. And it is worth remembering that the market for modern errors is vibrant and constantly evolving, so the earlier you can identify and certify an error coin, the better your chances to capitalize on demand while prices are strong. And if you're wondering whether it is worth the time to look carefully at every 2009 penny you encounter, just think about the many cases where people have spent rare double die cents completely unaware of their value, and only later learned that they had held an $814 treasure in their hands, because it happens more often than you'd expect with such a high mintage circulating coin. So educate yourself on the diagnostics of each error variety, learn to recognize the subtleties of die doubling versus machine doubling, which is much more common but not collectible, since machine doubling results in flat shelf-like doubling that lacks the extra thickness or notching seen in true double dies. And as you become more familiar with these distinctions, you'll develop the skill to spot high-value examples quickly and confidently, and when you do find one, there is a special satisfaction in knowing you rescued a piece of American history from obscurity and preserved it for the future. Next, 2007 D1 cent USA coin. Did you know that a simple 2007 D1 cent coin that most people overlook could actually be worth an astonishing $810 due to its rare and fascinating mint errors? And this seemingly ordinary penny has taken the numismatic world by storm, captivating collectors and casual coin enthusiasts alike with its jaw-dropping value and mysterious production flaws that elevate it from pocket change to a historical treasure. And as we dig deep into the secrets behind this 2007 D. Lincoln Memorial penny, minted in Denver during a time of increasing demand for circulation coins, we uncover a world filled with striking anomalies such as die cracks, off-center strikes, double dies, misaligned dies, and even rare copper planchet retention marks that make certain specimens extremely valuable, with one such penny recently fetching hundreds of dollars at auction purely because of an underestimated error involving an inverted reverse image known as a rotated die clash, which occurs when dies strike without a planchet between them, transferring distorted designs and giving the coin a ghostly mirrored pattern that experienced graders can instantly spot and appraise at premium value. And then there are coins struck on improper planchets like those intended for foreign denominations or left over from previous years, resulting in wrong metal compositions or weights that instantly set off alarm bells for collectors who know these types of errors can turn a single cent into hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on rarity and condition. And when you add in the increasingly aggressive demand from collectors who want to complete error sets from each minting year, especially from the early 2000s when mintage quality was variable, you get an ecosystem where even minor flaws like clipped planchets, repunched mint marks, or die chips can send auction bids soaring. And the 2007 D penny stands as a symbol of this era's unpredictability, often found with strong doubling on the date, the Liberty inscription, or the "In God We Trust" motto, which creates dramatic visual effects under magnification and has been catalogued by numismatists as some of the most collectible DDR and DDO examples from that decade. And these doubling errors aren't just aesthetic oddities, they're key markers of a flawed minting process that passed quality control unnoticed, slipping through into general circulation before collectors began noticing peculiarities and submitting them for professional grading, where coins receiving MS65 or higher from services like PCGS or NGC often see exponential value increases, and to add to that value, coins in brilliant uncirculated condition, especially those still bearing their original copper sheen without spotting, scratching, or toning, command an elite level of attention at shows and online bidding wars, where seasoned bidders track listings weeks in advance, knowing a pristine 2007 AD with the right combination of error, grade, and visual appeal could be the missing gem in their Lincoln Memorial era collection. And while many might think all pennies from this era are the same, the reality is that advanced scanning and digital die tracking have revealed micro-variations specific to the Denver Mint's output that year, including a very small batch of coins struck using a prematurely worn obverse die that produced what's known as a mushy strike, which lacks sharp detail around Lincoln's jawline and hair. And when paired with other strike errors like off-center impressions or broad strikes that extend the coin's edges beyond its typical diameter, these varieties take on an entirely new level of value and collectability, especially when certified and slabbed with detailed attribution. And some of the most stunning 2007 D cents known have multiple overlapping errors such as die breaks that stretch from the Lincoln Memorial base across the field, or misaligned die strikes so severe that part of the reverse design is missing or doubled in strange angles, each one telling a unique story of the chaos and complexity of mass production at the mint. And for collectors who understand the nuanced difference between machine doubling and true hub doubling, the 2007 AD presents a perfect opportunity to own an undervalued error coin whose market price is still climbing, fueled by YouTube coin collectors, viral TikTok videos, and online forums where discoveries are shared and debated in real time. Adding to the lore and mystique of this valuable cent, and as inflation continues to affect face value perceptions, more people are waking up to the fact that coins like the 2007 D1 cent aren't just small pieces of metal but miniature investments in history, overlooked relics that require only a keen eye, a bit of patience, and maybe a magnifying lens to unlock potential profits and historical fascination all in one. And now with increasing awareness around mint errors and their impact on coin values, everyday people are digging through old jars and spare change hoping to stumble upon one of these misprinted treasures. And while not every coin will be worth hundreds, the thrill of finding one that is, especially one bearing the unmistakable signs of misaligned collar strikes, partial collars, or struck through grease errors that obscure parts of the design, is turning casual savers into amateur numismatists overnight. And it's this excitement that fuels the rise in demand, sending error coins like the 2007 D into the spotlight as both collector's items and viral sensations, often trending on social media platforms and driving bidding frenzies on auction websites where authenticated coins with even minor visual discrepancies can net values hundreds of times higher than face value, and in some documented cases, especially dramatic off-center errors or unplated steel planchet strikes. Values have reached upward of $800 or more when the coin's provenance, error type, and preservation come together perfectly, and this trend shows no signs of slowing as more error varieties are discovered and classified, with growing support from the numismatic community, many of whom believe that the next great error discovery could very well come from an overlooked 2007 D penny sitting unnoticed in a coin roll or cash register drawer, just waiting to be appreciated for its flawed beauty and monetary potential. And with this in mind, anyone watching this should take a second look at their change, because the story of the 2007 D1 cent isn't just about mistakes, it's about hidden value, untapped opportunity, and the exciting unpredictability of the minting process itself, where even the smallest error can lead to the biggest payout. So if you've enjoyed uncovering the fascinating world behind this humble yet extraordinary penny and want to stay updated with more unbelievable coin stories, rare finds, and valuation secrets, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a chance to discover the next coin that could change your fortune. Next 2013 D1 cent USA coin. Thank you for joining us today as we dive into the astonishing world of rare and valuable coins, where everyday pocket change can sometimes hold secret fortunes, and today we're talking about an exceptional example that has captured the attention of collectors, numismatists, and enthusiasts alike, the 2013 D Lincoln penny that, due to a fascinating combination of rare errors and production anomalies, has been known to fetch up to $784, an eye-popping sum for a coin with a face value of just 1 cent, and as we unravel the story behind this modern marvel, you'll understand why this coin is no ordinary penny but a piece of collectible history that you might even have lying unnoticed in a drawer, a jar, or tucked away in a forgotten corner of your change bowl. Because the year 2013 marked not only another routine production cycle for the Denver Mint but also the unintentional birth of a series of mistake-laden cents that would go on to achieve legendary status in collector circles, starting with one of the most discussed aspects in error coin communities, die errors, which often occur when the minting die itself is misaligned, cracked, or overused, resulting in anomalies such as die clashes, cuds, and die breaks, all of which have been observed in certain 2013 D pennies, particularly those that show signs of doubling, a type of error known as double die, which results from the die receiving a misaligned or repeated impression from the hub, leading to visible doubling on inscriptions like Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date itself. And while true double dies are rare and highly sought after, the market for even slight doubling on this year's coin has been extremely active due to the scarcity and unusual visibility of the effect, particularly when it occurs in multiple places on a single coin, amplifying its collectible value exponentially. But that's just scratching the surface, because off-center strikes are another major source of value in 2013 D pennies, and coins that exhibit a striking misalignment, where the design is shifted from center by 5% to as much as 80%, can command hundreds of dollars depending on the severity and remaining detail, with those that preserve full dates and mint marks being particularly prized, as they allow clear attribution while still showcasing the mint error. But one of the most thrilling and lucrative variations are the broad strike errors, where coins are struck outside the retaining collar, resulting in a flattened and stretched appearance with no reeded edges, giving the coin an unmistakable and instantly recognizable silhouette that immediately signals something rare and abnormal to the trained eye. And moving further into the realm of valuable mistakes, one must also consider clipped planchet errors, which are particularly dramatic when the clipped area cuts into critical design elements or lettering, creating a visual spectacle that even non-collectors find intriguing. And with the 2013 D penny, a small number of examples have surfaced with noticeable curved clips or even straight clips, likely from improperly fed blank strips during the blanking process, and these tend to sell for premiums well above typical error coins from other years due to the relatively low frequency of clipped examples from the Denver Mint in 2013. And let's not forget about planchet composition anomalies, a more subtle but equally valuable source of rarity, as the modern penny is meant to be made from a core of 97.5% zinc with a 2.5% copper plating, but instances of wrong planchet errors, where a cent is struck on a blank meant for a dime, nickel, or foreign coin, can drastically increase its value, especially when weight, diameter, and appearance clearly show something is amiss. And although extremely rare, some 2013 pennies have been discovered to be struck on foreign planchets or planchets of incorrect composition, a type of mistake that can only be confirmed with professional analysis and often leads to bidding wars among advanced collectors. And speaking of compositions, improper alloy mixes or plating errors such as split plating, where the thin copper coating begins to peel or bubble, exposing the zinc core, can also add significant value, especially when the defect affects a large portion of the coin surface and is accompanied by other errors like die cracks or machine doubling, all of which combine to create a coin with dramatic visual appeal and an irresistible backstory, and even more minor errors like weak strikes, where the coin is struck too lightly to bring up full detail, or machine doubling, where the coin appears slightly blurred due to mechanical slippage rather than a true hub misalignment, can still increase value when combined with other abnormalities, especially since collectors often pursue compound error coins, those with multiple distinct minting mistakes, which are even rarer and more desirable. And while some may argue that machine doubling or strike-through errors, where foreign material like grease, debris, or even a wire strand gets between the die and planchet, are too minor to matter, the reality is that in the 2013 UD series, these errors have become part of a broader narrative around inconsistent quality control that year, and the combination of factors makes even small anomalies worth a second look, particularly when the coin is in high grade. And speaking of grade, the condition of the coin remains a key determinant in its final value, with coins that are uncirculated or mint state, especially those graded MS65 and higher by services like PCGS or NGC, being substantially more desirable to buyers, and many 2013 UD era coins that have fetched over $500 have also boasted exceptional eye appeal and near-flawless surfaces. As rarity and condition together form the twin pillars of collectible value, and it's important to note that provenance and certification can further amplify worth, with coins that have been authenticated and encapsulated by reputable grading companies often bringing premiums simply because they eliminate buyer uncertainty. And let's not overlook the role of collector demand and historical context in shaping value, as 2013 was a year of intense interest in modern coinage errors, fueled in part by growing online communities, social media visibility, and educational platforms that brought mint error collecting into the mainstream, encouraging more people to hunt through change, report unusual finds, and spark bidding frenzies that pushed prices to unprecedented levels. And in this climate, the 2013 UD penny, with its multitude of reported errors and anomalies, became something of a modern legend, a coin that exemplified the unpredictability and excitement of US mint production, especially when circulated examples began turning up in unexpected places like parking meters, vending machines, and even Coinstar rejects. And these random discoveries only added to the allure, because nothing captures the imagination quite like a treasure found in the wild. And with more and more collectors turning their attention to recent decades in the hopes of finding overlooked gems, the demand for coins like the 2013 UD era penny continues to rise, especially as more are lost, damaged, or overlooked, reducing the available population and increasing the stakes for those still searching. And beyond the monetary value lies the human element. The thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the pride of ownership that comes from holding a tiny piece of history forged by accident yet revered by design. And whether you're a seasoned numismatist or someone just starting to dig through their coin jars with newfound curiosity, the story of the 2013 UD penny serves as a reminder that extraordinary value can sometimes hide in plain sight. So keep your eyes open, your magnifiers handy, and your curiosity piqued, because the next valuable error could be hiding in your very next handful of change. And you never know when a humble copper-plated zinc disc minted in 2013 with a tiny deet under the date could transform from spare change to a $784 collectible simply because of a minting mishap, a double impression, a clipped edge, a wrong planchet, a shattered die, or some other small but significant deviation from the norm. And with error collecting gaining more visibility and appreciation every year, the chances of such a find turning into a lucrative payday are more real than ever. And as you search, remember that education and observation are your best tools. So continue learning, stay observant, compare known error types, study grading standards, and connect with communities of fellow collectors, because the world of coin collecting is not just about currency, it's about stories, anomalies, discoveries, and sometimes unbelievable rewards. And who knows, Maybe the next record-breaking 2013 UD penny sale will be yours, so keep hunting, keep sharing, and keep believing that in every roll of pennies, there might just be one that tells a different story and carries a hidden value worth hundreds. And if this deep dive into the secrets and value of the 2013 UD 1-cent coin has inspired you or opened your eyes to possibilities hiding in plain sight, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep insights, discoveries, and surprising treasures waiting to be uncovered in the world of rare coins. Next, 2016 1-cent USA coin, another thrilling dive into the fascinating world of rare coins where even the smallest piece of currency can carry a hidden treasure trove of value. And today we explore the remarkable story of the 2016 1-cent coin, a penny that in normal circulation may be overlooked, but in specific cases has soared in value up to a staggering $799 due to a fascinating blend of minting errors, production flaws, and unique collectible traits that have caught the attention of numismatists, collectors, and coin hunters alike across the nation and around the globe. And as we unfold this incredible tale of copper-plated zinc and how a coin with a face value of just 1 cent has defied expectations, you'll learn about the various mistakes that elevate a simple 2016 penny into the realm of big money collectibles, starting with the widespread occurrence of die clashes which occur when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving behind ghost-like impressions of the reverse design onto the obverse side or vice versa, creating haunting visuals of Lincoln's profile partially obscured by outlines of the shield or lettering not meant to appear there. And these die clashes are especially sought after when they're strong and centered, making the error easily visible without magnification and immensely more valuable to collectors. And then we turn to off-center strikes where the coin blank wasn't properly aligned during the strike, leading to coins that are significantly off-center with partial or missing design elements, with some of the most desirable 2016 cents showing off-center strikes of 50% or more, especially when the date is still visible, as the visibility of the year is essential in authenticating and verifying the coin's origin, which directly impacts its value. And in other cases, we find broad strikes where the retaining collar fails and the coin is struck without the collar in place, resulting in a spread out, wider than normal coin with design details stretching unnaturally to the edges. And these kinds of errors are extremely collectible because they reflect a complete mechanical malfunction during minting, making them rare and strikingly unique in physical appearance. And then there are double dies, one of the most desirable types of mint errors where the die itself has a doubled image, leading to coins that appear to have a shadowed or doubled effect on their lettering or design elements. And for the 2016 penny, some double die obverses show clear doubling on Liberty or In God We Trust, or even on the date itself, which if dramatic enough, can command significant premiums at auctions. And then there are repunched mint marks where the D for Denver or P for Philadelphia has been stamped more than once but slightly offset, leaving a ghosted appearance of a second mint mark or shadow image that signals human error in the punch application phase before the dies went into production. And even though mint marks have largely become less emphasized in more recent years, such anomalies still attract serious collector interest. And we must not forget coins struck on the wrong planchet, an extremely rare and valuable error that can occur when a blank meant for a different denomination or even a foreign coin mistakenly enters the penny press, resulting in a 2016 cent that is either smaller, thinner, or a different color and weight than expected. And these wrong planchet errors often get certified and encapsulated by professional grading services, which further boost their legitimacy and market value. And speaking of grading, the condition of a 2016 penny plays a massive role in determining its potential value as well, with coins graded MS67 or higher by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, bringing in hundreds of dollars even without errors, simply due to their pristine strike quality and preserved surfaces that set them apart from the average coin pulled from change. And in this condition-sensitive market, coins with full red luster, minimal contact marks, and sharp design details become treasures even in modern dates. And another factor that contributes to high value is the presence of transitional errors where design elements or metal compositions change between years and certain coins accidentally get struck with the prior or future year's specifications. And although the 2016 penny doesn't mark a major design transition year, any anomaly caused by the wrong die being used, such as leftover dies from previous years accidentally used for early 2016 production runs, could result in mismatched details that spark immense interest and value from the numismatic community. And then there's the realm of struck-through errors, where foreign objects like grease, thread, or even pieces of wire get caught between the die and the planchet during striking, creating highly unusual impressions or voids in the coin surface that are often random and one-of-a-kind. And certain struck-through 2016 pennies with clear, identifiable foreign object outlines can command hundreds of dollars due to their uniqueness and visual appeal. And we also encounter capped die errors where the die face gets covered by a previously struck coin that sticks to the die and continues to strike more coins with a distorted, ghost-like image that becomes more deformed over time. And any 2016 penny with a well-documented capped die error becomes a fascinating conversation piece and a highly coveted collectible, especially when the error is dramatic and affects the entire coin surface. And let's not overlook die breaks and cuds, which are cracks or chips in the die that result in raised, irregular blobs of metal or missing design areas on the coin. And these can range from small cracks that traverse the coin like lightning to large cuds where part of the design is entirely missing. And when a 2016 penny exhibits a significant cud or retained die break, it stands out immediately to error collectors and can quickly be valued well above typical market prices. And we must also highlight the strong collector demand for coins with misaligned dies, where one die, usually the obverse, is slightly out of alignment, causing the design to shift off-center but only on one side while the reverse remains centered, creating a strange and visually striking misalignment that adds a further layer of intrigue and collectability. And even more rare are coins with rotation errors where the obverse and reverse don't align properly when flipped, usually measured in degrees of rotation. And a 2016 penny with a strong rotation of 90 degrees or more becomes a must-have for specialists who seek such anomalies. And finally, the magic of the 2016 penny's $799 value isn't just in any single error, but often in the combination of multiple small factors: an off-center strike with a die clash, a double die with a repunched mint mark, a pristine MS68 grade combined with a rare planchet material, or a strong visual anomaly. All of these layers compound to generate astronomical value, especially in an online auction setting where collectors bid passionately for the most impressive examples. And as word spreads and videos like this one bring awareness to the potential riches hiding in everyday pocket change, more people are paying close attention to the coins they receive, sparking a renewed interest in modern coinage and encouraging a new generation of collectors to look beyond the ordinary and find the extraordinary. And so, whether it's from a bankroll, a coin jar, or loose change at the gas station, always check your 2016 pennies carefully, because even though millions were minted, it's the rare few that contain minting magic, error anomalies, and pristine conditions that transform them from mere cents into dollars, hundreds of dollars, or even the $799 jackpot that this coin can represent. And if you're holding onto a unique specimen with visual oddities, die issues, or grading perfection, you just might have in your possession a small copper-plated treasure worth far more than you ever imagined. So keep your eyes open, your magnifying glass ready, and your numismatic curiosity alive, because the world of coin collecting continues to reveal hidden gems like the 2016 1-cent coin that went from pocket change to collectible goldmine in the eyes of seasoned collectors and eager treasure hunters alike. Next, 1982 1-cent USA coin, today's deep dive where we unravel the mystery behind one of the most intriguing coins in modern numismatic history, the 1982 1-cent coin that, despite being just a penny by face value, has astounded collectors and investors alike by selling for as much as $777 due to its extraordinary errors, unique characteristics, and rare minting anomalies that make it one of the most sought-after cents ever struck in the United States. And in today's episode, we're going to explore in painstaking detail why exactly a coin that was intended to be the most common and mundane piece of change could end up becoming an item of significant numismatic interest, commanding hundreds of dollars at auctions and private sales, and why collectors across the world are constantly on the lookout for these rare error-laden examples that have transcended their original purpose and become a piece of American minting folklore. Starting with the context of the year 1982 itself, a pivotal and transitional moment in the U.S. mint's production strategy, because that was the very year when a significant shift occurred in the composition of the 1-cent coin, moving from the traditional 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy to a new predominantly zinc-based core with only a thin copper coating. A change driven primarily by the rising cost of copper, which made it more expensive to mint a penny than its face value, and what followed was a chaotic period of transition where both copper and zinc coins were produced within the same year, resulting in at least 7 distinct recognized varieties of the 1982 penny, including large date and small date configurations struck in both copper and zinc, creating an unprecedented situation where an enormous variety of legitimate 1982 pennies were being produced simultaneously, which already sets the stage for a perfect storm of confusion and error as the mints had to manage multiple dies, multiple compositions, and 2 different size variations, increasing the likelihood of mistakes, some of which turned into rare collectibles, and among these the most famous and valuable are the 1982 D small date copper cents, which, according to the official production records of the US Mint, shouldn't exist at all because the Denver Mint only officially struck zinc-based coins in 1982. So any genuine small date copper cent from Denver is technically a minting anomaly, with only a few confirmed examples in existence, making it one of the holy grails of modern coin collecting and pushing its value into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on condition. But the fascination doesn't stop there, because aside from the composition-related varieties, 1982 cents are also known for a host of other minting mistakes such as double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, cuds, plating bubbles, and lamination errors, each of which adds another layer of intrigue and potential value for collectors. And with over 10 billion 1982 cents struck across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, finding these rare varieties among the sea of common examples becomes a true treasure hunt that has captivated the attention of both amateur hobbyists and professional graders. But identifying a valuable 1982 penny isn't always straightforward, because it often requires a precise weight measurement to distinguish between copper, weighing 3.11 grams, and zinc, weighing 2.5 grams, as the coins look virtually identical to the naked eye, and distinguishing between large date and small date varieties can also be tricky without experience or magnification tools, especially because the differences lie in subtle details such as the shape of the rate and the alignment of numerals in the date, so it becomes a perfect case study of how minute differences can equate to massive differences in value. And in addition to composition and date size variations, certain 1982 cents have been found with dramatic minting flaws such as misaligned dies which cause the obverse and reverse to be off-center from each other, resulting in what's known as a rotated die error, while others may exhibit doubling on the lettering or Lincoln's profile due to die fatigue or misregistration during the hubbing process, creating dramatic visual effects that make the coin instantly recognizable and highly desirable. And still others may contain issues like broad strikes where the coin was struck outside the retaining collar, leading to a coin that's wider and flatter than normal, or coins that were struck on foreign planches accidentally fed into the presses, adding yet another layer of mystery and rarity. And all these possibilities highlight how a seemingly unremarkable penny from 1982 could in fact become a highly coveted piece worth hundreds of times its face value, especially when authenticated and graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, which certify its rarity and condition, boosting buyer confidence and market demand. And speaking of market demand, it's worth noting that prices for rare 1982-era cents have been steadily rising over the past decade as more collectors enter the hobby and awareness of these rarities spreads through YouTube channels, coin shows, collector forums, and auction listings. And the record prices being paid today often reflect not only the physical rarity of the coin but also the story it tells, because every valuable 1982 cent is a tangible artifact from a turbulent moment in minting history when the US Mint was forced to adapt rapidly to economic pressures and material shortages, leading to experimental changes and unintended consequences that are now being hunted down like buried treasure. And the 1982 D small date copper cent is the prime example of such a treasure, with experts believing it likely came into existence when a leftover copper planchette from earlier production runs was mistakenly fed into the Denver press fitted with a small date die, thus producing a coin that should theoretically never have existed. And because only a handful of such examples have been confirmed, each one becomes an incredibly rare specimen whose value is driven not just by scarcity but by the tantalizing fact that its very existence challenges the official minting records, creating a mythic allure for collectors and researchers alike. And the discovery of these coins often happens by sheer luck when someone takes the time to weigh and examine their loose Change carefully, underscoring how real the possibility is that anyone could find such a coin in circulation or an old jar, and add an unexpected windfall to their finances. And while some 1982-era pennies fetch a few $100s, others in mint state condition with dramatic errors and confirmed authenticity have been known to cross the $1,000 threshold, especially when sold at reputable auctions where multiple bidders recognize the coin's uniqueness and push the price up. And this rising value trend is fueled further by educational efforts and growing enthusiasm for coin collecting among younger generations who are discovering the thrill of the hunt and the rewards that come with knowing what to look for. And that's why understanding the eras and varieties of 1982 cents is not just an academic exercise but potentially a very profitable endeavor. And beyond the small date copper from Denver, another area of interest is the transitional era cents that may have been struck with mismatched dies and planches during the switchover process, leading to coins that don't conform to any standard variety and require metallurgical testing to confirm. And even coins with more common errors like die chips or repunched mint marks can still command a premium when the flaws are dramatic enough or when they occur on a variety that's already rare. And all this adds up to a landscape where the 1982 penny, far from being an afterthought, has become one of the most intensely scrutinized and celebrated coins of the modern minting era, with every aspect from its metal content to its typography potentially holding the key to a big payday. And even among seasoned collectors, the 1982 penny remains a favorite because its story combines history, economics, human error, and investigative numismatics in a way few other coins can match. And it serves as a reminder that in coin collecting the smallest details can have the biggest impact, and that sometimes the most valuable discoveries are hiding in plain sight, quietly waiting for someone with a keen eye and a little curiosity to reveal their worth. So if you have a jar full of old change or you regularly come across pennies in your daily transactions, now is the time to start paying attention. Because that unassuming 1982 cent might just be your ticket to owning a piece of minting history and realizing the incredible value that lies in knowing what makes a coin truly special. Next, 1983 D1 cent USA coin, the most fascinating corner of the internet where everyday change could hide extraordinary treasures. And today we're diving deep into the story of a coin so small yet so significant it has collectors scrambling for it. Yes, we're talking about the seemingly ordinary yet unexpectedly valuable 1983 D1 cent coin that has shocked many by selling for an astonishing $677 due to its rare errors, unbelievable minting flaws, and the strange circumstances that make it a star in the world of numismatics. So sit back, stay tuned, and get ready to never look at your spare change the same way again, because this 1 cent could be the gateway to a small fortune. Starting with a journey into the mysterious depths of its production, let's begin by understanding how such a lowly coin came to hold such high value. And it all starts with the US Mint's monumental shift in coin production during the early 1980s. Prior to 1982, pennies were made primarily of copper, but due to rising metal costs, the mint transitioned to a copper-plated zinc composition, meaning a zinc core with a thin layer of copper on the outside. And this major change introduced a whole new world of complications and minting anomalies. And in 1983, the Denver Mint, denoted by the DETH mint mark on the coin, produced billions of pennies using this new composition. And while the majority of them were perfectly ordinary, a select few emerged with shocking flaws that went unnoticed until keen-eyed collectors discovered them years later. And among these anomalies, some 1983 D cents were found with incredible doubling on the obverse side of the coin, especially visible in the date, the motto "In God We Trust," and the word "Liberty." And this doubling was not your usual machine doubling caused by die bounce, but a genuine double die error where the die itself was misaligned during the engraving process, creating a second impression that manifests clearly under magnification and sometimes even to the naked eye. And this kind of double die is highly coveted by collectors, but that's just one layer of rarity, because the 1983 OD penny also has other types of errors that drive up its value significantly, such as off-center strikes where the coin's design is not properly aligned with its edges, resulting in missing portions of Lincoln's portrait or the inscriptions. And the further off-center the strike, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date and mint mark remain visible, which allows the coin to still be attributed properly. and then we have broad strikes where the coin is struck outside of the retaining collar, leading to an unusual flared shape that distinguishes it from regular cents. And let's not forget die cracks and cuds, which are raised metal errors on the surface caused by fractures or missing pieces in the dies used to strike the coins. And these flaws create one-of-a-kind textures and patterns that collectors treasure as unique fingerprints of the coin's production history. And of course, planchet errors such as coins struck on the wrong metal blanks add even more intrigue and immense value. And while officially no 1983 AD pennies should have been struck on copper planchets, there are rumors and speculative reports of transitional errors, possibly due to leftover copper blanks being mistakenly fed into the presses during the composition switch. And although confirmed copper 1983 ADs are extremely rare, the mere possibility excites the numismatic community and keeps collectors examining every 1983 AD cent they come across with keen eyes and scales to measure weight differences between zinc and copper coins. And a copper 1983 AD cent should weigh approximately 3.11 grams as opposed to the 2.5 grams of a zinc coin, which means even the smallest variation in weight could indicate a multi-$100 mistake. And speaking of weight, another important aspect is the presence of clash dies where part of the reverse design is imprinted faintly on the obverse side or vice versa due to dies striking each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghost-like impressions that add rarity and intrigue to the coin. And let's also dive into how strike quality affects value, because weak strikes with incomplete design details or grease-filled die strikes where parts of the design are missing due to obstructions in the die create varieties that, while technically errors, often end up being more desirable due to their uniqueness. And then there are repunched mint marks known as RPMs, where the D appears doubled or distorted due to manual repunching during minting, which was more common in earlier decades but still occurred on occasion in the early 80s. And these RPMs can be worth hundreds when clearly visible, especially in a coin as widely circulated as the 1983 AD penny. And let's not overlook environmental toning and patina, because coins that naturally develop attractive hues due to oxidation or storage conditions, such as rainbow tones or deep purples, can fetch premium prices purely based on aesthetic appeal. And when such natural toning is combined with error features, the value can climb even higher. And collectors often seek out coins that combine multiple error types, like a double die with an off-center strike or a broad struck coin with a cud error, making them true freaks of the mint and commanding exponential premiums. And now let's talk about condition, because even with errors, the condition or grade of a coin drastically impacts its value. And mint state examples with no circulation wear and sharp luster can push even common errors into the high hundreds or low thousands. So a 1983 AD penny with a clear double die in MS65 condition can easily reach the $677 price point or more. And when certified by trusted grading services like PCGS or NGC, the authentication and encapsulation provide confidence to buyers and solidify the coin's investment status. And let's not ignore provenance either. Coins that come from notable hoards or famous collections can carry added value based on their history alone, and this adds another dimension to the collectability of rare error coins, especially when documentation and auction results are available to trace their ownership lineage. And speaking of auctions, online platforms like eBay and heritage auctions often feature these coins, with bidding wars breaking out among passionate collectors, driving prices far above estimate. Especially for coins with eye-catching photos and solid grading, and educational content like this drives awareness and demand, fueling the market even further. And what's truly fascinating is that these valuable coins are still out there, hiding in old piggy banks, pocket change, forgotten drawers, coin rolls from the bank, and even inherited collections that haven't been examined with modern knowledge. Which means the opportunity to find a $677 coin in your spare change is not just a fantasy, but a real possibility, especially for those willing to take the time to learn, observe, and hunt for these small yet mighty treasures. And while millions of 1983 AD pennies exist, it's these few flawed and fascinating examples that become legends in the coin world. And for every collector, the thrill of the hunt, the knowledge of rarity, and the possibility of profit make coins like the 1983 AD era cent so incredibly exciting. And even beyond the monetary value, the historical context of early 80s minting practices, the experimentation with materials, and the evolution of error detection technology all contribute to the rich tapestry of stories embedded within a single penny. making this coin not just a small denomination but a doorway to history, science, art, and treasure. And as we continue to dig deeper into our pockets and our curiosity, remember that every coin tells a story, and some, like the 1983 AD penny with its remarkable mistakes and $677 valuation, whisper legends of oversight, craftsmanship, rarity, and fortune. And whether you're a seasoned numismatist or someone just now discovering the fascinating world of coin collecting, this humble cent reminds us all that value can be found in the most unexpected places, and that with a keen eye, patience, and a little luck, your next big find might just be a tiny coin with a huge story to tell. So keep checking those pennies, because history, mystery, and maybe even a $677 surprise could be waiting in the palm of your hand. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing stories about rare coins, valuable finds, and numismatic wonders that could be hiding in your very own home. Next, 1989 D1 cent USA coin, the most fascinating deep dive into a hidden gem in the world of numismatics, where ordinary pocket change turns into extraordinary treasures. And today we are unlocking the secrets behind a 1989 AD Lincoln penny that has been known to fetch an astonishing $654 due to a range of fascinating errors, production mistakes, rare varieties, and unique characteristics that elevate its value beyond what anyone would expect from a simple 1-cent coin. So buckle up as we journey through the intricate world of minting anomalies, striking misalignments, double dies, planchet imperfections, off-center strikes, transitional metal composition mishaps, and the historical context that makes this specific coin a collector's dream and a highly sought-after prize for those in the know. Because behind the humble copper-plated zinc facade of the 1989 D penny lies a labyrinth of potential minting deviations and rare traits that can turn heads at auctions and light up the eyes of seasoned collectors and casual finders alike. And it all starts with understanding the Denver Mint's role in this story, where millions of 1989 AD pennies were struck, but only a precious few emerged with the kinds of errors and features that make them standout stars in the world of coin collecting. And we must begin by discussing the core anatomy of the penny, as the 1989 D cent is primarily a copper-plated zinc coin weighing about 2.5 grams, but here's where things start to get interesting, because in some rare cases due to leftover planchets or mint mishaps, a 1989 AD cent could accidentally be struck on a copper planchet left over from earlier minting years, leading to a transitional error that instantly multiplies its value, since copper cents from 1982 and earlier were heavier at 3.11 grams, and collectors with precise scales and trained eyes have discovered such anomalies, bringing massive returns for what looks like an ordinary coin. And if that wasn't enough to stir the excitement, another thrilling possibility is the double die error, where parts of the coin's design, often the date, mint mark, or the inscriptions like "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," appear to be shadowed or doubled due to a misalignment in the die creation process, which is subtle to the untrained eye but once spotted can be easily verified and adds immense value, especially when these doubling effects are found on multiple parts of the coin. And even though major double die varieties are more famously associated with other years like the 1955 or 1969 AS, the 1989 AD has been found with minor but still notable double die errors that can command hundreds depending on condition and provenance. And speaking of condition, we can't ignore how the coin's grade influences its value, because a 1989 D penny with a rare error but in poor condition may still be interesting, but one in pristine, uncirculated MS65 or higher condition with a strong strike and full details can easily soar in value, sometimes beyond the $654 mark, especially if auctioned among a group of collectors hungry for the next addition to their error coin portfolio. And the coin strike is another key feature, as weak strikes or misaligned dies can create visual oddities such as broad strikes, off-center strikes, and die cracks or cuds that occur when parts of the die break off, leaving raised areas or missing elements on the coin's surface. And while some collectors specifically hunt for these imperfections, others find them purely by chance, making the 1989 AD penny an exciting coin to examine under magnification. And we also have to consider the significance of repunched mint marks, or RPMs, where this D mint mark was punched into the die more than once in slightly different positions, a practice that was more common before the transition to computer-controlled die creation. And for 1989 D pennies, RPMs can range from subtle to dramatic and when found, increase desirability and market price significantly, especially when accompanied by photographic evidence and third-party grading authentication. And moving beyond dye-related errors, we also encounter planchet anomalies like improper alloy mixtures that can lead to discoloration or surface irregularities, or clip planchets where a portion of the coin is literally missing due to a miscut during blanking. And although rare, when found on a 1989 D cent, these errors catapulted into a different category of collectability altogether. And let's not forget about coins struck through grease or foreign objects, where parts of the design are missing or obscured due to debris on the die, leaving behind ghost-like impressions or blank spaces. And such striking errors from 1989 D coins have shown up in private collections and auctions, often authenticated by leading services like PCGS or NGC, further adding to their provenance and desirability. And while all these physical errors contribute to a coin's value, we must also appreciate the broader market dynamics where demand, scarcity, and awareness play critical roles, as the numismatic community continually shares discoveries online and in coin shows. And when a new era variety is confirmed for the 1989 D, interest spikes dramatically, leading to bidding wars and heightened visibility, especially when the coin in question has eye appeal, meaning strong luster, bold design elements, and limited contact marks, which collectively raise it to a higher valuation tier. And seasoned collectors often seek these high-grade examples for registry sets or personal displays, while novice collectors are thrilled by the notion that a common-looking coin in their change could be worth hundreds or even thousands. And this dream fuels interest in coins like the 1989 D, making it an evergreen topic in forums, YouTube videos, and collector magazines. And on top of all this, there's always the tantalizing possibility of discovering a previously undocumented variety, like a unique die clash where elements of the reverse appear faintly on the obverse due to die collision without a planchet between, or a mule error where the wrong reverse die was used altogether, though incredibly rare. And while no known mule errors exist for 1989 D pennies yet, the sheer volume of coins produced leaves room for speculation and discovery. And it's this treasure hunting thrill that continues to draw attention to this coin year after year, with collectors using everything from magnifying glasses to microscopes in hopes of catching a glimpse of an anomaly that others missed. And auction results provide the best evidence of the coin's financial potential, as several authenticated 1989 D era coins have reached the $654 threshold or more, with some attributed to strong double dies, severe off-center strikes, or rare planchet materials. And these results fuel even more submissions to grading companies, further enriching the catalog of known errors and varieties. And let's not forget the educational aspect as new collectors learn about strike zones, minting procedures, and diagnostic markers that help differentiate genuine errors from post-mint damage, a skill that enhances appreciation and reduces fraud, making the hunt for the 1989 D era cent not just financially rewarding but intellectually fulfilling. And for those with coins in hand, basic tools like a digital scale, magnet, loop, and comparison photos can reveal if they're sitting on a hidden gem. And if signs point to a rare feature, sending it in for authentication can unlock the coin's true potential and even change the life of the person who found it. Because for a coin worth just 1 cent at face value, the idea that it can sell for $654 or more transforms it from an overlooked object into a powerful story of history, precision, and chance, reminding us that value isn't always obvious and that sometimes the tiniest details, a misplaced letter, a double strike, an old copper planchet, can make all the difference in the world. And with continued research, shared findings, and a vibrant community of collectors, the 1989 D penny remains a captivating chapter in the ongoing story of rare US coinage, inspiring people of all ages to check their change, study their coins, and perhaps one day find a fortune hiding in plain sight. Last 1975 D 1 cent USA coin. Welcome to the channel where hidden treasures come to light, where small details make a big difference, and where coins in your pocket change could potentially hold more value than you ever imagined. And in this episode we dive deep into one of the most unexpected and fascinating cases in American coinage history, the 1975 D 1 cent coin, or as many now refer to it, the $600 penny, and while to the untrained eye it may appear just like any other Lincoln cent you might find rolling under your car seat or stuck between couch cushions, the truth is, this particular coin has drawn the attention of seasoned numismatists, auction houses, collectors, and treasure hunters alike because of the subtle and sometimes dramatic errors, mistakes, variations, and minting anomalies that make it a standout piece and a hot commodity in today's collectible market. And what makes it even more fascinating is how the 1975 D penny bridges the gap between the old and the new. Coming at a time when the US Mint was undergoing important transitions in both production standards and coin design consistency, and to really understand why this coin fetches up to $600 in certain conditions, we have to break down everything from the physical characteristics to the production mishaps and delve into the possible scenarios that could have led to these era coins slipping through the cracks of quality control and ending up in circulation or in the hands of someone who may not have realized for decades just how unique their find really was. Starting with the basics, the 1975's D penny was minted in Denver, denoted by the D mint mark below the date on the obverse side of the coin, and during that year, the US Mint produced millions of pennies, and while the vast majority of them were standard copper alloy cents that followed the general specifications, a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams, with a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, a select few ended up bearing signs of significant and valuable mint errors, ranging from double dies and off-center strikes to clipped planchets, die cracks, weak strikes, brockages, and even transitional anomalies. And one of the most prominent and sought-after errors on the 1975 D penny involves the double die obverse, a striking visual where elements of the coin's front, especially the inscriptions like "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date itself 1975, appear duplicated, slightly offset or ghosted due to a misalignment during the die creation process. And although double dies are among the most familiar types of coin errors to collectors, their rarity on the 1975 D penny makes any clear example an immediate attention grabber, especially when combined with strong eye appeal and minimal post-mint damage. But that's not all, as other error types found on 1975's D cents include off-center strikes, where the blank planchette was not properly aligned with the dies at the time of striking, causing a partial design on the coin surface and often leaving a crescent of blank metal that dramatically alters its appearance, and the degree of off-center striking matters tremendously, with examples struck 5 to 10% off-center being less valuable than those with a 40 to 60% off-center strike while still showing part of Lincoln's profile, making the coin identifiable and collectible. And even more dramatic are the broad-struck errors, caused when a coin is struck without the retaining collar, allowing the metal to expand outward and resulting in a wider, flatter coin with distorted rim features. And some 1975's D pennies with broad-struck errors have also exhibited other issues like die cracks, which are visible raised lines on the surface of the coin where the die used to strike it had physically cracked due to age, wear, or metal fatigue, and these lines can stretch across Lincoln's face, the fields of the coin, or even the reverse side with the Lincoln Memorial, and collectors often assign nicknames to particularly notable cracks or patterns, enhancing the storytelling aspect and desirability of the coin. Then we also have coins struck on incorrect planchets, perhaps one of the most dramatic and valuable errors, where a 1975 D cent was struck on a dime planchette or even on a foreign planchette intended for a coin of a different country entirely, leading to mismatched weight, color, or dimensions. And such coins can fetch incredible sums if authenticated by third-party grading services such as PCGS or NGC, and authentication is key, because not all odd-looking coins are true errors, and that's where experienced graders play a critical role, distinguishing between genuine mint errors and post-mint damage or environmental effects. And speaking of damage, another factor that affects value significantly is the coin's condition, with uncirculated specimens that still retain their original luster, sharp details, and minimal contact marks commanding the highest premiums, particularly when combined with rare errors. And one of the more mysterious aspects of the 1975's D penny story revolves around the possibility of transitional planchets, coins struck on leftover planchets from the previous year or struck on experimental compositions being tested for future use. And while the official transition to zinc core pennies didn't occur until 1982, The mint has been known to test new materials in earlier years, and it's entirely plausible that a few 1975 D cents were struck on lightweight experimental planchets, and any such coin confirmed to have a non-standard weight or composition could be a literal once-in-a-lifetime find. And if that weren't enough, the Denver Mint was known in the mid-70s for high-speed production, meaning that die maintenance and inspection sometimes lagged behind the pace of output, increasing the likelihood of die clashes. Another error type where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchette in between, leaving ghost-like impressions of the reverse design on the obverse die and vice versa, which then transfer to struck coins. And die clashes on 1975's D cent sometimes reveal partial images of the Lincoln Memorial on Lincoln's shoulder or lettering impressions out of place, making them visual oddities that collectors scramble to acquire. And then there are the misaligned dies, where the obverse and reverse dies are not properly centered, resulting in a coin that appears normal on one side but off-kilter on the other. And although less dramatic than off-center strikes, these are still collectible, particularly when the misalignment is large and noticeable. And for collectors and investors alike, finding a coin with a combination of errors, for example, a double die obverse that is also off-center and exhibits a die crack, represents the pinnacle of error coin hunting, because such multi-error examples are exceedingly rare and can command premium prices at auction. And while most people may never imagine a 1975 D penny being worth more than its face value, let alone $600, the stories behind these rare examples are what fuel the enthusiasm of the numismatic community, as each error tells a story of mechanical missteps, quality control slips, and the fascinating unpredictability of large-scale coin minting. And with the growing popularity of coin hunting videos, social media groups, and online marketplaces like eBay and heritage auctions, more and more people are becoming aware of the potential treasures lying within their spare change, and in some cases, coins like the 1975 D penny with errors are being pulled from rolls purchased at banks, estate sales, or garage sales for just a cent, only to be later recognized for their value and sold for hundreds of dollars to collectors building specialized error coin collections. And the key to unlocking the value lies in attention to detail, knowing what to look for, recognizing the signs of genuine mint errors, and understanding the historical context that makes certain dates and mints more prone to specific kinds of issues. And in the case of the 1975's D penny, the sheer volume of coins minted means the vast majority will be ordinary, but among them lies a precious few, flawed yet fascinating, that transcend their humble copper composition and become numismatic legends. And that's why coin collectors always say, never underestimate a penny, because what appears worthless at first glance may, upon closer inspection, tell a story worth hundreds of dollars. And if you're someone interested in diving into the world of coin errors and learning how to identify valuable pieces like the 1975's D penny, there has never been a better time to get started. With endless resources online, communities of knowledgeable collectors, and affordable tools like magnifying glasses, digital scales, and coin albums that can help turn a casual interest into a rewarding hobby or even a profitable side hustle. So the next time you come across a 1975 D penny, whether it's sitting quietly in your change jar or dropped on the ground outside a store, take a closer look, because that small copper disc might just be one of the few lucky ones carrying a mint error, a production flaw, or a quirk that makes it worth not just a penny but hundreds of dollars. And as always, if you enjoyed this deep dive and want to learn more about valuable coins hiding in plain sight, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more eye-opening stories about coins that turned ordinary people into accidental treasure hunters, because sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest surprises. And the story of the 1975 D penny is a perfect example of how history, error, and discovery can collide in a single cent that defies its face value and becomes a prized possession in the world of rare coins.